Hey guys, Dr. Jason Tirado. We are back and it is time for What's Working Wednesday. All right, guys, I'm really excited to share this with you today. So, today I want to talk to you about taking responsibility for your success and for your failures. That's right. It's not about being a victim, it's about being a victocrat. And it's about really taking responsibility for your success and taking responsibility for your failures. And that's kind of what I define what an entrepreneur is really all about. It's someone that's going to be more than happy to take responsibility for their success and take responsibility for their failures. You know, uh, this morning I went over to the gym, and sometimes I train. I've been doing a lot of body weight training. You probably just don't you probably just don't notice it, but uh, trying to stay a little bit away from weights. Been trying to do a lot of body weight training, and I don't jog anymore, but I do bike pretty frequently. And I'll tell you something, I love working out. I really do. I love working out. And then afterwards, I like jumping inside the sauna to sweat and get all the toxins out of my system. Um, and it's a lot of fun. I get really, really good results, and I try to do it maybe 3, 4 days a week. And I'll tell you, sometimes it's kind of tough to kind of squeeze in those workouts, but those days are more like the exception than the rule. But for the most part, the time that I spend working out or the time that I spend inside the sauna, just kind of meditating and praying, and just saying my prayers to myself. It's sort of like it's my time. Do you know what I mean? It's my time. It's my prayer time, my time to kind of get focused and work out, and then also just kind of just try to communicate with God. And I think it's important because that doing that keeps me sharp. It keeps my mental edge up, and I think that that's really important in business and in your relationships. And if you're not taking that time to, let's say, work out or go for walks or even pray, or some people don't pray, they meditate. If you don't take that time, then I think that you're kind of losing that mental edge. So I think it's extremely important for you to be able to take the time to focus on doing stuff like that. All right, so why am I telling you this? Okay, so the reason why I'm telling you this is probably for something that you're never going to guess. A while back, I was working out in the gym, and I usually just try to keep to myself. But a while back, I was working out, and there was a guy that was next to me, and just out of the blue, one of those guys you're just talking to, you see from time to time, but yeah, and you never talk to, and then out of the blue, the guy just starts to talk to me, and I'm the guy. I'm the guy in the gym. I don't really. I don't. I just focus on what I'm going to do. I'm in. I'm out, and it's my time. I don't like to be bothered. But and I don't really go. I don't go out of my way to talk to people. I'm not there to converse. I'm there to go there and spend my time. And so my first mistake was actually like, you know, engaging with this guy and talking to this guy. And so after a little bit of conversation, a couple minutes talking to this guy, I knew exactly who this guy was. Right, a guy's name was Jeff, and I knew that the guy's name was Jeff. I knew that he was 50 years old. I knew his religion. I knew what the guy did for a living. He was a plumber, and I knew where he lived. And I also knew that the guy wasn't doing well in business. A plumber that's not doing well in business. Can you imagine this? I don't know. I think plumbers make more. I thought they made more money than we did, but this was the guy's particular situation. He wasn't doing really well. And so I'll tell you something, it just kind of amazes me how in just a few minutes of talking to somebody, even when you don't want to have a conversation, what people are actually going to say to you, what they're going to reveal to you. I mean, like they wear their life on their sleeve. And in just a few minutes, I mean, I knew the guy's entire life. And anyway, so I started seeing Jeff. I started seeing him every day inside the gym, not because I wanted to, but because this dude was actually like looking for me. Okay, and every time I saw him inside the gym, what do you think happened? I mean, he would just come up to me. He would start, just talk chit chatting with me, and he would complain to me about his life, about his family, about his job. For example, every second or third time I saw this guy, he would talk about how he would go to pay his rent, and how the guy didn't have much money inside his bank account and his check would bounce. Like, why does he want to tell me something like that? I have no idea. But what I couldn't understand was, how could that be? How could it be that a plumber could only have $7 grand inside his checking account and have no other money to his name, right? I mean, that's sad. It is, and I'm not judging the guy, but like here, this guy's a certified plumber, and he's only got 7 grand, and his check bounces every single time he writes out his his rent. I mean, it's sad, but it's incredible. And so he gave me some story that some crooked lawyer had gotten a judgment against him, and from some other state or some crazy story, somebody ripped him off and just emptied out his account. There's always a story and always an excuse to this guy, and how the lawyer was kind of corrupt, and he took him for all his money, and the bank had screwed him also, and now he's got interest compounded on top of him, and everybody was taking his money, and he could never really get whole, and he could never ever get his bank account. He just could not save money for some crazy reason. And so look, this dude, is probably like a lot of guys, but I mean, he was a strange guy, and I listened to him, not just because I was trying to be nice, but I was more intrigued with this guy, and I found him a little bit strange. I found him a little bit funny, but I was just trying to figure out, I mean, you're probably trying to figure out where am I going with this conversation. So let me just kind of sum it up. So Jeff's biggest problem, was that he didn't really make enough money inside his business, all right, being a plumber. And you think that he was, and I don't know why he wasn't making enough money. Maybe he didn't have enough jobs, but he came to the conclusion it was the fact that opportunities for plumbers where he lived just were not in abundance for whatever reason. And that's kind of hard to believe, but that was his conclusion. And so he was thinking about maybe moving out of his town, or maybe moving out of his state, or maybe moving to another state. He told me he wanted to go to Florida because apparently like that's where everybody was going. Or he just was even thinking about maybe getting out of business of doing plumbing and maybe doing carpentry or doing something else. Or I think he told me he wanted to be a home inspector at one time. And so here's what I learned from this guy in just a few days. Guy's 45, spends 3 hours a day in the gym, 3 hours a day in the gym. Obviously, he's probably talking most of the time. And guy plays, he plays guitar in a band, and he practices really as often as possible. And he rides around on his bike around town almost every single day. And to be honest with you, this guy's got absolutely no idea why his life is in shambles, and he has no idea why this guy is broke. And so, look, the reason why I told you this story is because of a recurring critique that I keep hearing over and over from chiropractors. And it kind of goes like this. It's usually like, hey, Jason, I don't have a lot of money, but I really need your help in practice. So maybe you can coach me and I can make some money, and then I can pay off your services. Or, hey, Jay, I'm in practice. I'm just making ends meet. My collections don't meet my overhead. And I spent my last, $2,000-3,000 either doing Facebook ads. And I just don't have any more money, for coaching or anything. And I know you said that I should, focus on referrals. I should hand out my business cards and do all these things first. But you know what? I don't even have money right now to go out and go buy some business cards. And I've tried everything. I've done screenings. I've done talks. I did the Facebook ads, and I'm literally, Jason, I'm hanging on by a thread. And honestly, I'm thinking about closing up my doors and going to work as an associate if you don't save me right now. And so right now, I just need a lot of new patients inside my office. New patients. I mean, 10 to 20 new patients is going to save my practice right now. You got to help me. I mean, I hear that. That's not out of the ordinary. I hear that a couple of times a week, and it's just absolutely amazing. And so here's the link between my buddy from the gym and from chiropractors that usually talk to me on a weekly basis with this type of a situation. And it's simply this. The first commonality is responsibility, okay? The first thing that these guys have to understand is they've got to take responsibility for where they are right now, right in this point. Whether they're successful or whether they're failing in their business, they need to take responsibility for where they are right now. And you'll notice that the guy in the gym that I was talking to, that dude has blamed every single person and every possible, and the bank and his friends and his family. He's blamed every possible person for the problems in his life and for the reasons why this guy is failing in his business, or just failing for why he cannot get enough money to be able to pay for his rent. And he blames it on the bank, he blames it on his ex-wife, he blames it on all these people, for screwing up his life, and that's why this guy doesn't have any money to go pay his rent. And of course, it's his profession. Plumbers don't make enough money in his area. I mean, on and on and on of taking blame and placing it on other people, as if plumbers don't make any money here in New Jersey. It's crazy. Come on. But let me just kind of tie all this together for you. Look, if you don't have any money to spend on marketing right now, then you probably have time, right? Because you don't have a lot of patients inside your office. You probably have time. I mean, you definitely have time right now. And so if you don't have money and you don't have time, then I got to ask you a question. What are you doing with your time? I mean, really, what are you doing? Are you just sitting inside your office, hanging out on Facebook, or just thumbing, watching YouTube videos all day? I mean, really, the guy in the gym, that dude plays in a rock band. He's, riding his bike around town all day. He's spending 3 hours inside the gym. He's doing all these things inside his life that are not forwarding his career, that are not making money. I mean, he's tying up his time with all these things that don't push him forward. They don't push the needle. And that's what happens with a lot of chiropractors. They do things that don't push the needle forward. They waste time. That's what they do. It's things that they create to just suck time from their life and suck, that's just what happens. And they come up with excuses why they don't achieve, why they don't have success. And ultimately, they're not taking any responsibility for their life. So that's what you need to think about. You need to think about those things. So the solution is simple. You've got to take responsibility for where you are right now, whether you're very successful or whether you're failing in business. And if you're failing in business, then you have to take a look at what you're doing every single day that is either pushing the needle forward inside your business and making you money and making you successful, or things that are not pushing the needle forward, things that are just time suckers, things that are just wasting your time, things that you think are helping you but aren't helping you. And then you also have to think about who you spend your time with. Are you spending your time, because people are either helping you or people are hurting you. They're either bringing you up or they're bringing you down. I mean, and even the Bible, it says that you can determine a person by the fruits that they produce. So, you want to know a little bit about yourself? Take a look at the friends that you're hanging around with. Who do you surround yourself with? And if you take a look at the people that you surround yourself with, more than likely, you're going to be just like those people. And that's it. Look, that's a harsh reality, but it's truth. And you know what? You got to hear the truth. You really do, because the days of going to seminars and everybody blaming insurance companies and blaming the chiropractic profession and blaming the economy and blaming the recession and blaming Biden and blaming the president and blaming all these things, right? Inflation. That's the blame game. That's not you. That's not me. Don't make that you, because you can buy into that really quick. And when you buy into that, everything's going to go downhill. Guys, take responsibility for your failures. It may not be pretty, but at least you'll know exactly where you stand. And if you know exactly where you stand, you know where you need, then at least you can make a plan to go step by step to where you want to go. And that's all you need to do. You need to plant the seed, you need to work on that, and you need to let God just grow that. That's the way it works. And of course, working out and prayers always help. All right, guys, that's it for today for What's Working Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're getting something out of this. If I can help you out with your practice, you need some help from an experienced chiropractor that's been working over 30 years, that's probably has been there and done that, and you want to really logarithmically speed up your success, shoot me a message and I'll get right back to you. Take care, guys. Peace.